So I've been binging, and not just any binge. This binge was maybe unhealthy. One Piece has become one of the greatest written stories of all time, with these last few chapters being absolutely crucial to the legacy. It's just so damn fire, for a lack of better words, and I've been having the time of my life going through it. There's a lot happening in the series at the moment, and almost every single aspect is One Piece at its best. I'm gonna warn you right now, if you're an anime only, stay, because I swear you gotta hear this shit too. One Piece constructed the greatest lie over the course of over 1,000 chapters, and by the end of this video, we're gonna see just how Luffy became one of the most cleverly written MCs in recent history. I mean, Luffy got so strong that he unlocked the N-word pass. I don't even know how that's possible. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then definitely keep watching, and you don't want to forget to leave a like on the video. This is, of course, a big fat spoiler alert, but if you guys have read chapter 1043, then you know that this is probably one of the most, if not the actual most important panel in the history of the series. Fast forward to chapter 1043, the final page showcased Luffy just melting away after the brutal beating he takes during the fight with Kaido. This is when he starts melting away, and boy does he have this just menacing grin on his face right now. The world government's worst nightmare has pretty much come true today, but what exactly did this represent for us? Is Luffy dead, or are we about to see just the most epic transformation in, I guess, the history of the One Piece manga, right? Well, you might want to sit down for this one. We know a few things that this chapter has confirmed for us. We know that for a fact Luffy isn't dead. He's very much alive, actually, as it was confirmed by Kaido. And from the looks of it, he's getting really close to getting a new transformation. Because during the fight, Zunisha, the giant elephant with the island on it, speaks, literally confirming that after so many years, Joyboy is right here, returned. The foreshadowing of Joyboy has actually been happening for a long time now. Oda's been dropping hints all over the place about this force that existed in the Void Century. It was pretty much confirmed at this very moment that Luffy was in fact more or less transforming into Joyboy, but there is so much more to all of this than we're told at this point. And this is when chapter 1044 hit. I know you guys have been seeing this all over the place, and man did this chapter hit different. All of the previous hints, all of the speculation confirmed in the matter of less than 30 pages. Luffy actually is transforming into Joyboy. So Luffy is dead, lying dead from Kaido's final hit. Everyone on the island is staggered in disbelief, some even stripped of the will to fight. With Luffy gone, any chance the rebellion had of succeeding was slowly flickering away. Then, just then, the sounds of drums start resonating throughout the island. It's Luffy. It's his heart that's beating like a drum. Luffy himself isn't shown at this point though, it's just his voice that's heard. He too is unsure of what's happening. For some reason, even though he lost and was dead for a second there, he somehow feels like he's having a blast. Sanji suddenly regains consciousness as Luffy's voice is heard by everyone. Hyogoro, Law, Kid, Marco, and everyone else lifts up their gaze towards the sky, every eye searching for Luffy. We cut to the Holy Land of Marijois, where the 5 Gorosei are discussing the current situation of Wano. The bald dude with the glasses and the sword speaks about how the world government has been failing to get hold of the Gomu Gomu no fruit this entire time. He says that they've been trying for the past 800 years. That's a very long time. This also means that the Gomu Gomu no fruit existed during the Void Century, indicating its connection to Joyboy, who also existed somewhere in that unrecorded time period. But what exactly is so special about this fruit, and why was it so important for the world government to secure it? Well, this very question leads to probably the most amazing revelation in the entire One Piece series, and that is that lie that I told you about earlier. Luffy's Gomu Gomu no fruit is actually not a Paramecia type, but a mythical Zoan type said to carry within itself the name of a god. The real name of Luffy's fruit is actually the Hito Hito no Mi, and it embodies the sun god Nika. Now this one blew the doors off of the internet, as one of Oda's greatest moments may actually be having us fooled into thinking Luffy was just a rubber man this whole time. Moreover, the one that acquires this fruit shall only be limited by his imagination and is the embodiment of the Warrior of Liberation. This again is a reference to Joyboy. He was considered the Warrior of Liberation. You're most likely familiar with the term liberation, which means to free someone from captivity or imprisonment. And when you really think about it, this also defines what Luffy's journey has mostly been about. Freeing himself and the people around him from the imprisonment of their own makings. He liberated Robin from her darkness, Nami from her past, Zoro from his loneliness, etc. Everywhere he's gone up till now, he's changed everyone's lives for the better. This is why I think that Luffy is the perfect candidate to attain these powers of Joyboy. With that said, we move from Mare Joie back to the island, where a black bouncing silhouette is jumping joyfully with the moon behind him. Meanwhile, on the Treasury Repository's second floor, Orochi is still stuck under a bunch of boulders, begging Hiyori to help him. He keeps lying about how he really admired and respected Oden, all while blaming all that happened on Kaido. Hiyori, on the other hand, is playing her guitar-like thing while blaming Orochi for not keeping his word. Oden kept dancing like a fool for 5 straight years, honoring his deal with Kaido, who promised to leave as soon as 5 years were up. But when the time came, Kaido and Orochi betrayed Oden, and using the people of Wano as hostages, boiled him alive. She thinks back to when she was just a kid, asking her father whether he was okay with what everyone was saying about him. But Oden, with a smile on his face, assures the little Hiyori that as long as she's with him, he'll be just fine. This excites Hiyori as she promises to be by his side forever. And just like that, Hiyori's mask falls, revealing her tear-filled eyes as she calls Orochi a miserable wretch. Orochi, in fear, continues begging her to spare him. This is when the fire spirit of Kanjuro shows up. In an instant, Orochi's whole attitude shifts as he laughs and orders Kanjuro to burn Hiyori. And this guy is some scum. I mean, I guess the joke's on him, because instead of Hiyori, Kanjuro attacks Orochi and burns him alive. Orochi shrieks and begs once again, but it's too late. Hiyori looks him dead in the eye and says, "The dawn will come." We get back into the action with Luffy and the others, where Luffy's silhouette is jumping up and down, and we get to hear Gear 5th for the first time. This is my peak. This is Gear 5th, says Luffy, as an immensely powerful bolt of Conqueror's Haki falls on the soldiers. A gigantic hand comes crashing down from the ceiling and grabs Kaido's dragon body like it's a straw. This is most certainly Luffy using the strongest Gear 3rd we've ever seen. I mean, he has his hand completely wrapped around Dragon Kaido, like even Kaido's in shock right now. Now this is just where Luffy just starts getting disrespectful as he yokes Kaido up and he's swinging and smashing him around like he's Loki in the Avengers. But this has never happened before. One theory for this is that, like Katakuri and Doflamingo's awakenings, Luffy is now able to transfer his abilities to his surroundings. Kaido gets up all swirly and loopy with stars and a huge bump on his head. He looks kinda glad that Luffy actually isn't dead. Maybe he actually just wasn't happy with how the previous fight ended. Maybe he has a little bit of dignity. Anyway, Kaido shakes off the dizziness and launches a blast breath at Luffy. Luffy's eyes pop out of his head as well as he sees the attack coming, and at the last second, Luffy / Joyboy / Gear 5 turns the ground underneath into rubber and uses it to deflect the attack back at Kaido's face. And with the last panel, we finally get to have our first look at the actual Joyboy design. With the word Gear 5 written underneath, Kaido looks at Luffy and apologizes for how he ended the fight. Now hey, that was some dignity. Anyway, Luffy looks back with intense eyes and a huge grin on his face, replying, Don't sweat it. Now let's finish this. Much like it's said with other mythical Zoan fruits, it seems that Luffy's devil fruit actually did have sort of a mind of his own, because if you look back, it kind of feels like Luffy was chosen at this point, as every bit of Luffy's adventure prepared and led him to this very moment where it was time for him to finally awaken the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. Everything is falling perfectly into place, so if you guys don't want to miss it, be sure to hit that subscribe button and have those notifications turned on by clicking the bell icon down below. Joy Boy Luffy, Sun God Luffy, Gear 5 Luffy, whatever you want to call him, is gonna be a huge help in this fight and future fights. So maybe it was important for Luffy to die in order to awaken his true prowess and might and reforge his character as Joy Boy. His grin said it all. It was spectacular to witness, and it reminded us of Roger's grin just before he died, really, as well as Luffy's own grin in an identical scene early on. There's something very important about Wano as a country, which led to Kaido picking it as his base of operations and wanting to become Joy Boy himself. But after Luffy's quote-unquote death and just that devilish grin he had, we know for a fact now that Luffy's got the upper hand, and DJ Luffy looks like he's about to deliver the beats. It would be almost poetic symmetry to give Luffy some sort of sun/light based devil fruit if the battle for good and evil will be against Blackbeard in the end. Rubber fortunately counteracts the Gurigura no Mi fruit that Blackbeard took off of Whitebeard, and the natural opposite to the darkness of the Yami Yami no Mi would have to be something bright and powerfully hot, such as this guy. When Ace and Blackbeard fought, fire didn't exactly win out. It was obvious that darkness couldn't be beaten by mere mortal fire, and to counter that, we finally gotten what Oda had in mind. It finally makes sense. If Luffy received the power of the sun and the light of the sky, he'll really be the only one who's even able to stand up to the darkness of Blackbeard. At the end of the day, it seems that One Piece is finally gearing up towards everything that it was being built for. The amount of world building and storytelling we'd seen throughout the entirety of the last 1,000 plus chapters has been nothing short of spectacular. Oda's foreshadowing and tiny hints of what has happened and what will happen are finally coming to fruition, and let's just keep it real, we could not be more excited to just be along for the ride.